came in, and as the government regulations kept coming in, it lessened that thing, and the paperwork became more. But the Medicaid program is still with us, and at one time, we were doing the work and not getting paid. And when we were told in the first place that our money would be a 10-day turnaround, it was. This one guy had $4,000 out, and he called them, and they said, we'll send you your money right away. And he said, well, I thought it was on a 10-day program. He says, we'll get right to it. And it was. He sent them $10. But anyway, we had money, they had money laying around, and our representative, state representative Stanley Powell, he came to our association meeting, and we told him about it, and he got down and looked into it, and it was just laying there. It needed some help with that. Well, anyway, that's the political part of it. The other part was when I came, we had a charge service. And I always felt that that was a forerunner to the credit card system that we have now. But the APR that we had was 0. And in this one, I had a fellow and I had the letter here, and he had $10, and I told my gal, well, just send him a note. I said, he's forgotten about it probably. And I'll just read the last part of this because I thought it was quite good. I can tell you honestly that except for a miracle that happened, I could not enclose this check. The wolf that comes to my door every day just had pups in my kitchen. And I sold them, and here's your money. And then there's another little note. I saved these, and I made up a book for each one of my, I have 3 daughters, and they each had one. And this one here is, Bob, please send, I won't say the name, some shampoo for lice. Her sister picked it up at school. and then this is the one that I found this after we took over, and it's a almanac. It's called Rush's Almanac, and it's 1875. And I thought, well, you know, this is nothing. But it's Frank M. Webster, Portland, Michigan. Drugs, medicines, and chemicals. And fancy and toilet articles. And this is, I put it back here to validate the date. And it's on an almanac. And it has June 1875. It's the 6th month and 30 days. Then on the other column here, they have headlines. Why is it? Is Irish Glazier the popular verdict? A candy boy. And this one I kind of struck me, and it said, in struggling. To make a dull-brained boy understand what conscience is, a teacher finally asked, what makes you feel so uncomfortable after you have done wrong? My dad's big leather strap. But that's the kind of thing that's in that. And there's another, this was a note that was sent. This was not here, it was in Sandusky. And it says, sent home with my child one Wild Room hair cream and one package of sugarless gum. And this is a letter from President Ford. And I think that's about the extent of it. Well, yes, this is kind of a backup to that. These were some of the things that the different places were, well, and some of them here. But you've probably all heard of Lydia Pinkham's vegetable compound. And this is King's Discovery for coughs and colds. And that, yes, is Chamberlain's Colic Relief for flatulence or wind colic. This is Red Raven Splits. The best known laxative water in the world. And this was given to me. Now, this is from your family, Chick Lakin.
Yes, sure.
He was a pharmacist. And when we had our centennial in '69, and I think most of you people remember that, it was really a great event. And everybody decorated their window and everything. And Chick came in and gave this to me. I didn't let you have this because I wanted it.
I took the big one.
But it's a herb mortar. In other words, when you used like cinnamon, you don't never use it for anything else. You just smelled it, you know, that you knew that that was what it's going to be used for, and glycerizer or anything else. This here is Baracalate tablets to stimulate your bile. Yeah.
I see they're all gone.
Yeah. And in here, this is
That's a
a
shotgun.
medicine glass that was,
2 shots of
that's,
that.
he gave, Wallace Crane gave those out as, yeah. So that's from that era. And I think that's about,
Forget the little coin thingies in the bag, in the little bag.
oh,
I think those are really neat.
oh, yeah. You know what these are, don't you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's just pass them around, they can look at them. There's one scruple in there, that's 20 grains. And 3 scruples would be 1 gram. 8 grams is the full ounce. And that's what we that's the apothecary weight. Of course, we've got avoirdupois weight, and we have Troy weight, and we have metric system, and apothecary. So this is what we would use in making powder medications. And Jerry, do you have anything I'd like to have you add a few words in your practice?
I started with him 2 years after he bought the store.
Oh.
So I was there for 20 years. Actually, I was there for 23 years. Off and on, of course. But anyway.
Bob, I've got a question. I know when you bought it from my Uncle Fred, did that have the soda fountain in it?
It did.
Now,
Yeah.
here's my question.
Mhm.
When I was a little squirt, I used to go down and get a tin roof. Can you make a tin roof?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Vanilla
For 12
with
cents.
chocolate with peanuts, you know.
For 12
Yeah, you
cents.
gotta have that,
Oh,
right?
wow.
How about
Exactly.
cherry phosphate?
Oh, yes, oh, yeah. We had lots of those
How
going.
about pine float? That's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I started
Yeah.
with. That's a toothpick and water.
yeah.
But that had a thing, when, I think the youngsters could go out of school for lunch. And I'm telling you, that we had just 7 stools there.
Good fill up fast.
Yeah, that door almost came off the hinges. Everybody wanted a stool, you know, and, you know, it was something. I probably may have kept it a little bit longer, but one day the guy came in and he told me he was from the agricultural department, and I thought it was probably some thing to do with my veterinary medications I had. I had a little there, but it wasn't. It came under the food department, in the agriculture. I couldn't, and he said that he came there to make an inspection. Well, I didn't pass. And he said, I said to him, I said, well, now, were you here, when were you here the last? And he said, a year ago. And I said, well, could I see the report of that? And Fred got a good report. What they wanted to do is have me fix it up, but it wasn't possible because the replacement that I had to do to get it up to that would been too much, so
Nothing's changed.
we had to let it go.
You had it for 3 years, though, didn't you, Bob? You took it out in 62.
Huh?
You took it out in 62.
62.
So you had it 3 years.
3 years, yeah. We had coffee, and the one place I had worked before I came here,
I worked.
and the store that I had for the bankrupt that worked, they had a whole lunch counter, sandwiches and the whole thing. And the courthouse complex was just across the street, so a lot of those folks we got over there. And this prosecuting attorney, I knew him, his name's Holman Forrester. And one of the girls came to me and she said, he doesn't pay tax. I said, who doesn't pay tax? He says, that man right over there. And it was a prosecuting attorney. So he had his hat there on the counter. I walked over and took it and put it underneath the counter. And he says, I want my hat back. And I said, you don't get it back until you pay your tax like everybody else. And he said, well, I'm going back. And he did write out a writ of replenishment to recover his hat. And, but anyway, fair is fair.
Can I ask you a question?
Surely.
Did you come before or after Carl D. Bywater?
After.
After.
After, yes.
Okay.
Well, that was right, because, Jan, when I came, I think it was the year before, your dad and Charlie Quick had a fire, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
We came to Portland in 1954,
Yeah.
and Dad and Charlie Quick,
Yeah.
two pharmacists, bought the store from Carl Bywater. And then within a year, about the next year, is when the big fire came and destroyed the drugstore entirely, and we had to rebuild.
Yeah.
So,
I think that was, and I have to defer, and not, it was the way it was. He was a good competitor. And we got together, he said one time, he said, we were both open on Sunday. And that was not, so he took one Sunday and I took the other.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing was, while we went to one of these meetings, we'd ride oftentimes, together. We kind of decided that we'd trade back and forth. If you got a prescription, you didn't have it, we sent one of the girls up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the end of the month, we totaled up. Had just a great, yeah.
It was wonderful, Bob.
Yeah.
People today don't realize how two people can be in stores almost real close to each other and be that open with one another and friendly, and wasn't really a sense of competition at all.
I've been, and the young people, of course, you don't need to hear this. They were, the kids that had a chance to work, and it was just great. And at one time, Janet Marvin Fedor with her 14 children, she
She's
just
passed
out.
away,
Yes,
yeah.
she just passed away. I hired Jane, and her twin sister was up at the other store, at your dad's store. And one time when we were exchanging, and this lady had gone into your dad's store, and then she came down there, and she turned around and she said, "Didn't I just see you?" Yeah, it's just been a great thing for us, and I think that, and basically, we have that small town thing, it's still there. But one of the things I think nationwide, and I don't want to go on too far,
He understands.
it's like we've lost the 2 R's, respect and responsibility. Yeah, we need to get that back. And then I think it's, with a little bit of that, we have a tendency to have little enclaves. This is my group, this is the way we think, and if you don't think, you're outside the loop. Yeah, and we need to get rid of that. Said it all. I
Hey
think
Bob,
that's it.
and your wife forgot to play golf.
Did she, that was something else. Just a minute, Chuck. That was, when we came, we rented down Bruce and Lucille Young's house, where Carolyn Smith Cross lived.
Oh, yeah.
And we were in there, and they moved to Jackson because he was in the banking business. Lucille was McClellan. Anyway, they came to us and said that they were selling, and wanted to know if we wanted it. And Maxine said, Vern Minkley went into the realty business, and he'd come and they'd go and take a look around and everything, and come back. And this went on for quite a while. And Maxine says, "I don't want to remodel somebody else's place." I said, "Well, what do you have in mind?" She says, "I found a place." And I said, "Oh," I said, "let's go." We got the kids in the car, and we drove out Divine, Maynard Road, we kept going, and all of a sudden, the gravel ran into sand. And I said, Maxine, anytime that you were within 10 miles or 10 feet of a shopping center, you thought you were in the wilderness. And I thought, this is... It took me a long while to find out why we built where we are. It's because it was halfway between the bowling alley and the golf course. It worked out pretty good, yeah.
You got another
Yes, Charlie.
Hey Bob, do you remember when,
My chimney burned out and you came and put it out?
I was there. No, that was at your house.
Yeah.
No, when Portland on Friday night, they, all the customers, during the week would fill out these little gray slips about yay long, about that wide, okay? And they'd have drawings on Friday night. At 9 o'clock, this place was packed. Portland Street was packed.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, I do, and then Foss Augustine had a popcorn machine down at the end of the street.
Yep.
And people would come down and well, golly, at 10 o'clock at night, they'd start breaking up, and a nice warm summer night, everybody, yeah, it was just,
I don't know why we can't do it again.
I don't know.
No,
It's doable, but
They want people to come back downtown. Hey, draw them back downtown. That's the way I think about it. I just wondered if you remember.
I do, I certainly do. And Dan Watson was I think he was, wasn't he the township, wasn't he? Clerk? Or no?
Well, I know he had something to do with the
He had to
cemetery or
because,
something.
yeah, because he wanted to set up and register people to vote. So I put a table of, yeah, and, yeah, there was a lot of, and there was our city policeman,
Jay Clark.
Jay Clark. He was Mr. Sleuth himself.
Find it down at the county shop, and don't tell
He
me
could
why.
stand there with his back to the, you know, and looking all things over, and somebody go by, and he was picking up information here and there, and all of a sudden, the bad guy was caught.
You remember Mr. Slocum, I think, the barber that used to stand up in the stairway, sit down, and you get hamburgers and stuff like that?
I don't know, I don't remember. Mr. Dilly, I remember him, he
Yeah,
was,
well,
he was the barber up down
I
this
remember
end.
being up there.
Yeah, well, that was it, let's see, we had, Herb Shrouder Jr., he was barber, and Jerry was, and Fleetwood.
Yep,
Yeah.
on Bridge Street right there.
Oh, yeah.
Where the moose is at.
Yeah. And Walt Sprague was just starting to learn the business over there from his dad. And Bill, wasn't your dad's name Bill? Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah. And there's a lot of interesting things. That, I think.
I just go with they saw the picture.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Kind of added to it, went through, saw what it looked like, and you working there.
And Jerry. What's his name?
Well, all right, I think what we'll do is adjourn the meeting, but if please stay and talk history, talk whatever, you know, that you enjoy. Bob will be here for questions, and you can see when folks that are here tonight that ordinarily don't come or haven't come in the past, you all add to the meeting, and your memories are important, and it just adds to the whole program. So please come back again. If you think about, you're interested in joining, dues are $15 a year or $20 a couple family. And we have maps here. These are $15, I think. We'll be happy to take your money for them. I have Clarence Kellen postcards for free, if you want a couple of those. So with your permission, I'd like to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
I mean, Merville.
He's was here to share.
Yes, your technician, very good. Thank you, Marilyn.